Welcome back to Up the Road Podcast alongside Chris Will and Michael Figueroa. My name is Rafael Dos Santos, and you are tuned in to Group B of the World Cup. It's a journey. What did I call it last time? A journey? The journey to the World Cup?
A journey to the World Cup.
You are tuned in to a journey to the World Cup.
Do the sound.
You are tuned in to a journey of the World Cup. Today, we are making our way to Group B. The funnest group in terms of like who we have here on the podcast.
Yeah.
But not the funnest group if you're watching what's meant to be entertainment.
I think that's a good group. I think that's a good group to watch.
You are tuned into a boxing match now.
Group B features England,
First.
then Iran, and then the USA.
Iran, she ran, he ran.
And then
who
Wales.
cares?
So this is an intercontinental historical grudge match.
There's a lot of beef that is going to be settled
I agree.
by
in this group.
Yeah, by the soccer game.
Yeah.
No diplomatic activity.
Why we all staring at each other like this now? This is weird.
So
Because we just figured out world peace. What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, why do violence when you can do sport?
Honestly,
Amen.
Exactly.
I
That's
agree.
all.
So basically, when England plays the US, if England wins, they can take the entire country back. The US wins, England's ours.
All
If the
hail
U.S.
the
wins,
king.
it's called soccer now. They
Oh
had to
my
say
God.
it. They have to say it.
That's true.
But it's not gonna happen, is it?
Is it not gonna happen
Is it?
now?
Is it?
It's not.
In the end, every team in this group is in horrible form.
It's great.
Looking
September
at you.
23rd, 1-0 loss to Italy, heading into the World Cup in the Nations League.
A team not even in the World Cup.
They
So
lost
basically,
1-0.
England sucks.
September 26th, they did get a 3-3 draw against Germany
Mm.
in the Nations League.
Interesting that is, Rafa.
Okay.
Is
Okay. I don't know what.
But is England still in Nations League? No.
Okay.
They're not.
But looking at their team, notable players. Off the top of your head, Michael, who's starting goalie for the English national team?
Oof. That's a doozy.
Jordan Pickford.
Jordan Pickford is the
That's-
safest bet you could
You're
say.
in the Jordan Pickford camp?
I like Aaron Ramsdale.
Why do you like Aaron Ramsdale? That's so not guessable.
Is it because he plays for a team that rhymes with Barcelona?
Yes.
And you're an Arsenal fan. But Nick Pope, man, if you like FIFA, you got to go with Nick Pope.
He is
Yeah.
doing pretty good too.
Nick Pope.
Nick Pope.
Looking at their defense, this is just question marks all over the place. Kyle Walker's injured. I think he's gonna miss the World Cup. John Stones is injured. Trent Alexander-Arnold is injured, which might be good news for a team that wants to keep goals out.
Harry Maguire's injured. No.
He needs to not play. That's the problem with England, dude. He needs to not play.
He made two mistakes, which
He
cost them
needs to not play.
They were leading against Germany when they played them, so they were actually playing pretty good offensively.
This is the story of Harry Maguire's life. He either scores a 90th minute header like a bullet, or he's literally just
This is the story of the Tottenham.
he's a cone back there, bro. But I don't know. England have Kieran Trippier back there, who I think is having a really, really good season for Newcastle. Eric Dyer has surprised a bunch of people after being basically no one for a bunch of years. He's played really well for Tottenham. So
Even Connor Cody.
even Connor Cody for Everton is playing really well. Tomori scored against Juventus recently, but then he's had really bad games against Chelsea. I mean, AC Milan as a whole had really bad games against Chelsea, but they kind of exposed him specifically.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something they want to look into. They have Gahey, but don't know if he'll make that World Cup squad alongside Luke Shaw as well. Looking into that midfield.
Luke Shaw.
I don't know. Any team that doesn't play 4-3, I say they should play 4-3, so I can't even speak. But
They have so many injuries. It's crazy.
I mean, they got Jude Bellingham, who's on fire.
So my biggest question, and I think my essential question, should be who should be playing right back? I think
Trippier.
Walker is going to be starting. Is that correct? Or is he healthy for the World Cup?
No, he's injured.
He's out for the World Cup though.
I'm not sure if
And
he's
Reece
out for the
James
World
is
Cup.
likely
I
out for
think
the
he's
World
out for the World
Cup.
Cup.
Trent's questionable. So
I don't think it should be Ben White though.
I think it should be Ben White.
I think it should be Kieran Trippier.
And going away from my bias, obviously, I've been watching the Arsenal play a lot, and Ben White has been pretty darn solid at right back. And he's not only is he playing pretty good defensively, but he's also pretty good offensively. Now, if Reece James and Walker were healthy, I would say for sure he's not playing. But if they're in this position, I'll say that he should have a good contention for it.
Let me take you through it. They have four at the back, most likely, right? Four at the back. That's what England plays, four at the back.
Most
I mean, they played 5 against Germany.
For some reason,
they played 3 center backs and a left wing back and a right wing back. So going with that theme, let's say they play that same thing, which is what 5-3-2.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play Trippier. He's way better than Ben White offensively, like way better.
I don't know. He had an assist I think last game. He's playing pretty good offensively. He's improving a lot more this season as an offensive, being offensive presence, and he's a lot more better defensively too.
I mean, Trippier has a goal and an assist in the Prem this year.
Since Luke Shaw is also going to be pushing up more, you need more defensive power.
Yeah, but I would just rather have Ben White be one of those 3 center backs.
One of the 3 center backs?
Yeah, because who else do you have, bro? You have to play Maguire? You want to play Maguire?
Probably not going to play Maguire. They have Dyer. They're going to play Dyer. If they do Ben play White as a center back, it won't be a bad measure. I just think Ben White is better as a right back in my position.
But he's not better as a right wing back than Kieran Trippier. True. So
that's a fair argument.
Here's my reasoning. Anything that you can do, whether it's a 4-back or a 5-back, anything that you can do to keep Maguire out of the team, if that means to play Ben White as one of the center backs and then have Trippier out wide, rather than if you play Ben White out wide, then Trippier has nowhere to be on the team.
But then the question's asked: does Southgate want to not play Maguire? Because it seems
like I hope he doesn't. That's what managers usually want to win the game. If you want to win the game, you gotta keep him up.
But he's pretty stuck on who he likes.
Then he should be fired. Simple.
Probably not wrong.
But looking at the midfield, I think that Jude Bellingham is probably, I don't know, behind Harry Kane. Behind Harry Kane, I'd say Jude Bellingham is the most informed English player. The entire squad. I don't know why Ben Chilwell is like a midfielder according to
they put Reece James at midfield also.
Reece James as well, but I think there's no doubt about the fact that it's probably going to be Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham in the World Cup, in that midfield if they play 5 at the back. And up top, obviously, Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, and probably Phil Foden, even though I think it should be Saka at right wing, but Phil Foden started at right wing against Germany, so who knows.
Phil Foden's playing pretty well.
I mean, I think Phil Foden could take Raheem Sterling's place if Raheem Sterling is the Raheem Sterling that has always been in the World Cups.
Yeah, Sterling has also been playing really good for Chelsea. I think, in general, the attack that England has is insanely, overpowered.
I mean, even Ivan Toney, bro.
Probably Grealish is not playing in form, but yeah, Tony's playing fantastic. Saka's doing really good. Sterling's playing really good. Foden's good. Kane is Kane, and then Abraham is playing even pretty well in Roma. So I feel in general they have a pretty good squad, and then Bowen is also pretty decent. I don't know how he's doing this season.
He hasn't done anything.
He has 2 goals in 9 games, and then Tammy Abraham has 2 goals in 9 games as well.
I think they should give more for midfield. I feel they should put Madison in the tournament. I feel like he's more of a.
But I mean,
would you rather have Mason Mount or James Maddison?
For England, James Maddison personally.
Madison.
I disagree.
Madison was fantastic.
I just don't see the hype behind Mason Mount.
I think Mason Mount, dude,
he's good. He's
good. He just plays for Chelsea.
Maybe that's it. I mean, James Madison plays for
left
Leicester.
wing sometimes.
Shout out Connor.
That's fair. He is not a very good winger in my opinion. He's a decent midfielder though. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
he has a shot on him. Every time he gets a shot, he puts it either really close or he scores.
I think Madison 2 weeks ago was fantastic for Leicester. He racked up 2 assists and a goal.
Yeah, I would say that Madison's more informed. I think they both deserve to be on the team. I think James Ward-Prowse deserves to be on that team. Declan Rice as well. I think Jude Bellingham has to start no matter what.
I don't think
you got to imagine they take Henderson though.
They're probably gonna pick Henderson. Though.
I mean, just for the experience type thing.
And they should. I'm not mad at that,
fair.
But I think Jude Bellingham has to start every single game for England.
You would think.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Would you guys rather have Raheem Sterling or Phil Foden starting on left wing?
Foden for me.
Probably. Yeah.
I would give Sterling the start, and if I don't like it, I'll switch to Foden.
It's one of those things I'd be willing to sub him out like the 33rd minute. If that's the case. I'm not waiting until the 60th minute to make that type of sub.
I'll wait to the 60th and then I'll put in Foden. If Raheem Sterling can't get past what USA defenders, Iran defenders, or Wales. Like, if you can't cause imbalance, and I'm not asking you to score. I'm asking you to cause an imbalance. Find Harry Kane. If you can't do that, I'm taking you out, and you're not playing for the rest of the tournament, unless Phil Foden's tired or hurt.
It's a fair point to make.
Because Phil Foden has proven that he can find a target man, because that's what he's done with Erling Haaland the entire season.
On paper, England has probably the best team in the group for sure.
Probably.
Not even a debate.
Yeah, they're probably one of the
best teams by far, bro.
If healthy, this could probably be one of the best teams like in the tournament. Not the best.
My expectation. I mean, the expectations for them should be high. Like they should be, because they have the roster to do it.
But yeah, enough about England. Let's talk about the second group in this Group B. Iran. Looking at they beat Iran beat Uruguay 1-0 the 23rd of September.
Yeah.
One of their latest games. Then they tied 1-1 to Senegal the 27th of September, bro.
Yes, they did.
I'm telling you, the U.S., but
okay, but like
time to start shaking.
Iran's like,
it is, because when you look at the lineup that went out for Senegal, it wasn't nothing. Koulibaly played. Mendy.
I'm telling you, they have that one guy that I said. You remember when I said that Iran has one player that's better than everyone on the U.S. team?
Taremi.
Yeah, Mehdi Taremi, bro.
Yeah, he's
9 good. Matches, 5 goals, 4 assists in Liga Portugal for Porto. Yeah, speaking of the United States, the third group in this Group B, Chris Will. We have an expert on hand.
Expert analysis for Chris Will coming up.
Chris Will, the United States of America national team.
Correct.
Yes. Tell me about it.
How much time you got? What would you like to know?
I need heading into this World Cup. How are they looking?
Explain this in Fortnite terms.
In Fortnite terms,
absolutely not. Please just tell me.
They've been 360 no scoped a couple times.
Dang.
Heading into this World Cup, the United States is exactly where United States men's national team fans don't want them to be.
In the World Cup?
In their 2 exhibition matches leading up to the World Cup, they lost to Japan in a fashion where they got dominated. Straight up did not have a shot on target.
That's rough.
Then they tie against Saudi Arabia. Again, just not the result you want to have. And honestly, none of the players that are projected to be starting are really in hot form when it comes to club season either. Gio Reyna can't stay healthy enough to get consistent reps at Dortmund. Christian Pulisic is getting a little bit more under Graham Potter at Chelsea. He scored a couple goals. Honestly, the most consistent part of this men's national team is the midfield. When you look at Weston McKennie, he's performing well for Juventus, even though Juventus as a whole is not too great. But Weston McKennie is consistently getting those starts, consistently playing well. And then Jonas Musa for Valencia is also doing extremely well. You combine that with Tyler Adams and a Leeds team that's doing decent in the Premier League in terms of how they were expected to do. I think the midfield of that 3 is pretty locked and set. I don't see that changing too much. But I have written here in my notes that the biggest question is goalkeeper, and then it gets worse at center back, and then it gets worse at number 9. And those are 3 big problems to have. I think any top team that you expect to perform has that guy up top. When you look at England in this group, Harry Kane is obviously that guy. And Gareth Bale can be that guy for Wales, and Taremi can be that guy for Iran.
Who's that guy for U.S.?
Literally no one knows, and we're not the worst part about it is we're not going to know until they release the roster on November 9th on ESPN2.
Crazy stuff. If you had to pick, because you're saying the problem is number 9, I'm guessing that it's a given that Pulisic is going to be a left winger.
Probably, yeah.
Team. Who's right winger?
Reyna,
if he's
healthy.
Yeah.
Or Weah. I like Timothy Weah with the men's national team.
So who do you like with as your option?
Yeah, who would be if you're the coach, who are you throwing at striker?
I mean, the biggest thing with this is, like, if I was the manager, I would have given more consistent reps to the guys that I'm looking at. I would love to have seen more of Ricardo Pepi with the men's national team. I would love to see more of Pifok with the men's national team. I would have loved to see more with Aronson or Sargent with the national team. So now all we can do is compare it to club. Sargent's having a good season, as we know. Pifok is doing pretty decent. Pepi has now transferred and then loaned, and he's scored, I think, 3 goals in 3 matches or something like that. He's in pretty decent form.
4 goals in 4 matches, actually.
4 goals in 4 matches.
It's pretty good.
Which isn't bad, but it's like it's not on the national level. So you just don't know how those guys are. And then even then, there were times where we were like, okay, Daryl DK is that guy in the Gold Cup when he scored a hat trick against, I don't know, it's probably like El Salvador or something, but like still, I mean, a hat trick's a hat trick. And then there were times, I mean, it feels like every time we go through around a tournament, any fixture, that it's like, oh, okay, this is the guy. And then they get a little bit more reps or they get benched, and it's like, all right, well, now we don't even know. So if I had to pick in terms of getting consistent form on the club level, getting consistent reps, I'm going as my 1-2 combo is probably Pifok and Pepi, in my opinion. To be mad when the United States men's national team was winning tournaments that they historically have not. So beating Mexico in 2 straight finals with totally different squads. I think a lot of men's national team fans were kind of blinded by that.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we're winning. Like something must be going right. But it's
coming home.
I think just the talent level in terms of like natural raw talent in the United States has grown exponentially. And then when you look at the Mexican national team, they're aging out immensely. I mean, so some of the guys in that squad just like have been there forever, and it's kind of their time to go.
And they're also out of form too, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. is also picking them off at the youth level, getting guys that are born in Mexico or have dual nationality to pick the U.S.
Correct. And there's a couple guys that even not from Mexico necessarily, but like you look at like Malik Tillman. He was on the German like under 23s. He played for Bayern. Now plays. Is it Rangers now that he's at? Yeah. So now he's at Rangers. I kind of like him, but again, it's like we haven't gotten enough experience in seeing them that it's hard to make that decision. Plus, the midfield's fine. The biggest question for me is going to be center back. Miles Robinson would have been my lock, but he tore his Achilles. So he's out, not going to be playing. So then it becomes a combination of like, okay, do you like Walker Zimmerman? Do you like John Brooks? Do you go somewhere else? Like, I mean, there's a lot of other options. I've seen them put Aaron Long out there. Which I'm not a fan of.
Do you think that Anthony Robinson, a left back, and Serginho Dest, a right back, is a lock?
Serginho Dest, I'm not sure, but Anthony Robinson, yes. Anthony Robinson at Fulham with the combination of Tim Ream too, which I would not mind a Tim Ream Anthony Robinson combo within the U.S. men's national team squad too, just because. I mean, Fulham has done decent, and their combinations have been pretty good. I like Anthony Robinson. I would have liked to see Miles Robinson. In terms of Serginho Dest, I don't think he's a right back. I think he has some of the best footwork and on-the-ball skills. But the U.S. men's national team is going to have to defend, especially when they play England. And I don't see a guy like Serginho Dest being able to track. He's had a problem with the men's national team even against, Mexico, that he tracks up too far and they get caught on the counter.
So do you think DeAndre Yedlin might take the position instead?
I don't mind DeAndre Yedlin. There's also a lot of other guys like Reggie Cannon is also pretty good. DeAndre Yedlin obviously is also kind of an option. He has that experience with the men's national team, which is good.
He's played it really well recently too.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that I would have liked to see more, but we're not going to. Shaq Moore has had some big time goals for the United States before, but I don't know if he'll make the squad. I would imagine Serginho Dest will make it. I like Serginho Dest. He didn't get
first. I've never heard someone ever say that.
First take.
That you don't like Serginho Dest?
I've never heard someone go like I like and then Serginho Dest in the same sentence. If it's not, I like to see Serginho Dest on the bench. No,
Serginho Dest has potential. He hasn't unlocked it yet. I didn't like the move to Barcelona because he's just not
that good.
Not good. He was good at Ajax. I hope he kind of picks up form with AC Milan, but we'll see. And that's, like I said, way too many questions with this men's national team. Not enough answers going into the World Cup. I think we'll have a much better indication of what we're looking at when the squads come out.
Well, to make matters worse, you kind of torn that goalie as well.
Yeah, the goalie situation also not great, because if you had asked me this question like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said Zach Steffen is far and away the best goalie that the United States men's national team has.
2 years ago, though.
And then you watched him play the last 2 years, and there's been the combination of poor decision making with the ball at his feet. Example A, what was it? FA Cup
Against Liverpool,
against
semifinals,
Liverpool.
I think, right?
That he just did that, and then multiple times where he's had the chance to get called up to the men's national team, he's either hurt out of nowhere, he had some family issues that he was taking care of, so it's like, we're just going to throw you into the World Cup out of nowhere, like without getting any experience. I don't see it happening. I would give it to Matt Turner right now. He showed up in tournaments for the men's national team, looked pretty good. Now he's playing at Arsenal, getting good reps in Europa League.
Playing pretty good in Europa League, in my opinion.
So, I mean, as much as I hate seeing him with the ball at his feet, it makes me uncomfortable. I think he's the guy you got to go with because, I mean, Slonina is good. He's good. I haven't personally seen enough. I don't know much about him. Horvath, huge save against Mexico, subbing in for Zach Steffen when he got hurt. But again, look at the club he plays for. You're going to start that at the World Cup. Luton Town.
It's probably better than the entire Qatari team. I'll tell you that.
Luton Town, boys.
That's like
fair.
third division, probably. Or yeah,
I think
or
it's third.
That's great.
But yeah, moving on to Wales.
The whale.
Wales is just an interesting look. Because, okay.
That's a Wales
22nd, for sure. 22nd of September, they lose 2-1 in Belgium in the Nations League, which is respectable because Belgium is a drastically better team, and they still scored on them. Then they went on to lose to Poland 1-0, effectively knocking themselves out of the not Champions League, but Nations League.
I think they got relegated too, right?
Yeah, you gotta favor them. I would say though,
favor them
in terms of name.
Okay.
And the crest and what they've done in previous international tournaments.
This is their first World Cup though, and like
yes,
I don't know how long,
but outside for all these teams except England, this is like your first not World Cup because Iran has been the World Cup and so has the U.S. in at least the last 3 editions they have been.
Every team has been consistently in the World Cup more than Wales has in that group.
But Wales, out of all the teams, it's been too long ago to even give them credit for it. But you remember the Euros showing that they had against when they played all the way up to Portugal, who ended up being champions. Yeah. It's not the same team whatsoever. Yeah. But I mean, there isn't any.
Ramsey's like the only other player that used to play in that team, and I don't think
Gareth Bale. So I mean, they have a bunch of players. Like Hennessy still plays on that team. Yeah, Gareth Bale also plays on the team. Aaron Ramsey.
The boy Hennessy.
There's a bunch of players that still play, but it's too far to give them credit. But we can't. It's like such a weird thing. We can't give them credit for what they did in the Euros, but it's hard to give the U.S. credit for what they did in the Gold Cup and the Nations League.
Yeah, especially when the Euros was like 6 years ago.
You can't. Yeah, you can't give Wales credit because of how long ago it was, and then you can't give the U.S. credit because of how many times they've not been the team that just did those 2 great things against Mexico.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's hard to be like, well, what do we do with these teams? And then Iran is just
Iran
not good, or you don't expect them to be good. But that's what the World Cup is there for. But looking at like the Wales team, I mean, I still think that Wayne Hennessy is a really good goalkeeper. Danny Ward just doesn't. I mean, he's been playing goalie for Leicester. He just doesn't. He's not good. They're sitting bottom of the table for a reason. They just are. I think Ben Davies is a really good player. He's played really well for Spurs, and that's something that the U.S., for example, might have to face. You know, like Ben Davies is right up there compared to every attacker in the U.S. team. Unless like Gio Reyna plays, and then it's a combination of Gio Reyna, Pulisic, and then a question mark as striker, that might be a problem for like guys like Ben Davies.
Because I wouldn't be super worried about like Ben Davies in that sense. Like most of our players are already playing in European clubs against bigger teams.
Yeah, but Ben Davies is playing out of everyone, he's playing at Spurs, who's doing the best out of everyone.
Yeah,
compared to the
I'll
US team,
I'll agree
for
with
example.
that, but in the same sense, like,
But I mean, it's not just Ben Davies. You got like, I mean, they have Chris Meetham, like Joe Road, but like that's giving them too much. I mean, they got Nico Williams from Nottingham. He's pretty decent. But in terms of mid, I mean, they have Ampadu. They still have him. He's okay, I guess. I don't even know if Aaron Ramsey's gonna play. Is he gonna play for sure in the World Cup?
I don't think so.
think
he hasn't been as good anymore as he usually is. But if you're looking at Wales from outside perspective, I'm not a diehard Wales like supporter or anything like that. I don't watch them consistently. I could be wrong in the sense what I'm about to say, where I don't think they have a deep enough midfield where they have the right to be like, yeah, you're not really playing Ramsey. I feel like it wouldn't hurt to have him come off the bench. He played for Juventus. What was it, like 3 years ago? And he was pretty solid. He did play in the Europa League finals last season, and obviously Rangers did end up losing because he missed his penalty. But he's not a bad player.
Yeah, but I don't know.
He's on like.
If you look at the Welsh team, they could definitely give a problem to a U.S. team that maybe goes into the game planning not to have the ball. If the U.S. goes into the Welsh game, like, yeah, we're gonna concede possession and counterattack, you might just lose that game. Because you're facing Kiefer Moore, who's 6'5" as striker. He is pretty good. Gareth Bale, if he plays that right wing, is pretty good. You know, he likes to turn up. You know, he's not going to be the LAFC Gareth Bale. You know, he's going to be the Welsh Dragon. And then you got to play Daniel James, who is playing left wing. And if you play Serginho Dest, if Serginho Dest even thinks about stepping out too far, if there's anyone in the world that's going to leave him in the dust, it's going to be Daniel James. Because Daniel James is extremely fast. And their midfield, the Welsh midfield, isn't even that good. So you got to come into that game as a U.S. being like, we want the ball. Mm-hmm. Make them defend with Ben Davies and no one else.
Like, I'm not exactly sold on Wales being a powerhouse in that group either. I feel like this group is pretty evened out. Like, honestly, any team can get out of this group. Like, I know we're kind of being really rough against like Iran because they don't play against like the best competition, but this is a team that did end up being Uruguay in friendlies. They have been performing slightly better than most of the other teams that we have. Like you said, they tied against Senegal. They beat Uruguay. They're not exactly like doing horrific, and they're playing against really big competition. They want this. This is the perfect time for Iran to actually show that they're going to actually be competitive in this tournament. They're actually like for real in the world stage. Now, at the same time, USA has better players. They've just come out from winning the Gold Cup. They decently comfortably got into the World Cup. Is their form bad? Yes. So is England. So is all these teams. But anything can happen. I feel like it's an open season in general. I don't know what's gonna happen because I can just sit here and be like, the worst team looking at it right now could be Wales, especially how Bale's playing. But Bale turns up in tournaments, he just turns up for Wales. Like, I don't know what it is when he like wears a Wales jersey. He's just like, okay, I actually know how to play football again. It's back to 2018 Gareth Bale, 2017 Gareth Bale.
And they weren't horrible in the Euros either.
No, and like he was good. The reason why they qualified for the World Cup was because Gareth Bale performed. So it's literally like anything can happen in this group, which is why I'm like, I don't really know because England,
lay it on us. What's your group prediction?
I think USA and England will get out. I think England will not be that far away ahead of the United States. I think the United States, when they play against England, would not be it was going to be a tie.
You think the U.S. is going to tie with England?
Yeah, England has never beaten the United States in the World Cup. That's just the one thing that they don't do. Yeah,
such a limited stat.
But it just doesn't happen. It's the same thing as saying like Germany doesn't lose a penalty shootout in the World Cup. They barely lose penalty. Germany does not lose major penalty shootouts. That's not something they commonly do. The last time they did it, I believe, was in Euro 2016, and like Italy tends to always beat Germany in major tournaments, as we saw that happen like in that same World Cup, that same tournament I mentioned. So like certain type of things just kind of keep happening, and it seems like England, with Southgate being very like kind of stubborn, keeping like players like Maguire in the squad and other players like that, and not really giving younger talent that's a lot better the opportunity. I think that might come and burn him in the tournament.
So what are you saying? England first, USA second?
Yeah.
Iran third, Wales fourth?
I'll say Wales actually gets third.
Wales third above Iran.
Yeah. I think Iran is gonna like take a surprise win from probably one of the two big dogs. But despite that, they're not gonna get out. Like I think it's gonna be close group until probably the last day.
Chris Will, Group B.
I have England kind of running away with the group. I have the United States second, narrowly over Wales, and then Iran in fourth.
I have England first place. This has always been my stance. England's going to be first place. They're going to beat USA. They're going to beat Wales. They're going to stumble against Iran, maybe for a draw, or they could even get shocked. I'm going to put Iran second place. I think they're going to shock England. I think they're going to shock the US. Then I'll probably run out against Wales. I'm going to put the US third place. I don't think they're going to beat England. They just don't have the guys. This year is an improvement. That is 100% true. But this year is not the year. Will the year come? Dude,
Probably.
If there's ever been a chance, it's the next World Cup.
That is the biggest chance we'll have.
Is it looking bright? Somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
It's looking bright. Somewhat.
it's gonna be a great experience for all of those guys going to their first World Cup, because all the star players on this team are 25 or under.
Yeah.
So they're all gonna come back in 4 years with an automatic bid because they're hosting
in their prime,
in the prime physical condition, with more international experience, more club experience. Some of those guys that I was talking about, like Malik Tillman, who was on the German national team for a little bit, played for Bayern Munich. Like, he's gonna get some more reps with the national team.
Yeah.
Slonina is gonna get some more experience with the national team. And they'll probably pick off a couple other internationals that kind of have ties to the United States and pull them in.
4 years in the Prem for Brendan Aronson. You got guys like Weston McKennie maybe finding their way out of Juventus.
Tel Adams also getting more time.
Musa could end up in the Prem at some point. There's a lot of things could happen, but I just don't think
Turner might be getting a little bit more play.
I don't think that this World Cup is the World Cup for the U.S. So I'll have him at third under Iran. I do think Iran is going to ride off the fact that they've been playing really solidly against better competition than the U.S. has played. And I'm going to have Wales fourth just because I just don't think they have the manpower. Gareth Bale has been absolute shambles in the MLS when people thought he was probably going to be like an MVP frontrunner, because that's what you'd expect from a player of his caliber coming into like MLS competition.
I think the only guarantee I can say from that group is that England's going to get out of the group. That's the only thing I can say with full.
They better get out of the group.
Like that's the only thing I can say with full heart is that they will get out of the group. But when it comes to like,
they have to. I think if they don't, if England doesn't get out of the World Cup group, they should fire Gareth Southgate 100%.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not even a debate. Honestly, if they don't win a round of 16 game, he probably should.
Yeah,
if I'm England, like England's like we said, it was pretty high. Realistically, England should be favorites to win the tournament.
What?
They went to the semifinals last World Cup. They went to the finals in the Euros. They should at least be in the finals trying to win it.
No.
Especially with that squad. I'm sorry.
I mean, if you're English, right, and you're like skewed and your vision is skewed and you're a fan, I think you should obviously be coming into this saying you want to win. Of course you should want to win. You're too big of a country to not want to win. I think realistically, what I always say is like, someone puts a gun into your head and it's like, if this happens, you die.
Like England's top 5 in the world.
No one's going to be like, yeah, England's going to win the World Cup. If it doesn't happen, bro, I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything I got.
No, I don't think anyone should bet on it. But I think England right now is ranked 5th in FIFA. Sure, FIFA's a little bit messed up.
There's too many teams.
But at the same time, like, we have to acknowledge that
I'll go down the line real quick for you to close out the episode. Stop me when I'm wrong. Okay. All these teams could give England a game, meaning you should not be favorite. Because if we do this for France, it'll be a different story, right? Those guys are favorite.
Yeah.
Like, Senegal could give England a game. You think so? Yes.
No.
Yes. A game? They could definitely give you a game.
But what defines a game?
These guys are not gonna go down 2-0, 3-0. You're gonna have to beat them for real. You're gonna have to outplay them on that game. It's not gonna be any luck. You might go 1-1 until the 90th minute.
There's only a couple of teams
a real game.
That I think
Senegal could give them a game. Netherlands give them a game. That's Group A. Group B, bro. Anyone in Group B could give England a game. They probably can. Argentina could beat the living Jesus out of England any day. France, Brazil, Portugal, Uruguay, dude. Belgium. Even Canada, bro.
Canada? Come on.
Canada. Croatia can, Germany can, Spain can. That's too many teams, dude. That's a whole.
The thing is, my
you can
thing
make a whole
is
tournament with them.
their ceiling should be to win the tournament.
Yeah, because
The talent they have,
team.
the players they have, the expectations, the experience they got in the last tournament, losing to like Italy in the finals. That's the only way they can make back to it.
Every big soccer association's goal should be to win the tournament. Is it realistic? Like, because every 4 years, so you got to think: is this our year?
Yeah.
Like, the Florida is like, oh, like, we want
England's
to win a national
current
championship,
form
but is that realistic?
England's current form is very concerning. So I would say, like, it's really
There
hard.
are too many gaps,
but it's
on the
possible
team.
for them. I think it's a lot more
Of course,
possible.
it's possible for most teams, but there's too many gaps in that team. Look at every team that's won it. There's very few gaps in that. Look at the French team that won the last World Cup. Name a gap. It's very hard. You'd have to be like Benjamin Pavard coming into the tournament. Who was that? Coming into the tournament. Who was that? Yeah. No one. Other than that team's solid. Left wing, striker, right wing, somewhat. Because you had like Giroud starting every game, scoring 0 goals. That's not acceptable.
Yeah,
but now they'll have
Giroud
Karim Benzema, who's going to win the Ballon d'Or by the time he
Yeah,
gets to the World Cup. So.
Yeah, but
And
also
they have Nkunku and they have Mbappe, who, as much as everyone hates Mbappe at the moment, Jesus Christ, he is unstoppable.
I think.
And then even the one before that, bro. Like every team that wins the World Cup, it's like there's no shock. There's no like, oh wow, like I would have never thought they were gonna win.
The German team a little bit. You look at some of those players, you're like how it is. Like,
You thought Germany was a surprise?
I'm not surprised as a team,
Okay,
but you have some players on that team that you're like, you're such a role player, you know?
Like the one who scored the
Yeah,
the
like
goal.
not even.
Well,
Mario
Mario
Götze was nasty.
He was nasty, but he got subbed onto that game.
I know, but what I'm saying is like you look at the team.
Andre Schürrle.
You can look at the starting lineup, like Andre Schürrle.
Sure.
At the moment, he was good. But
He was really good then.
but like what? Now you're like, dude, that's such a question mark.
Honestly, like
Whereas
Klose was still playing.
Miroslav Klose played. He didn't play like every game, but they were.
you'd
he
be
got subbed
surprised though
off
that France walking into that tournament was not the
Schweinsteiger.
favorites,
In what world?
and they were not the favorites in the 2018 World Cup.
In what world?
In the world that I lived in when that tournament, I remember talking to every single person who's seen the sport, play the sport.
It
all
was
coaches,
Germany. I
everything.
think every prediction was Germany France final.
Everyone was saying Germany, Brazil. Everyone said Brazil was going to go to the finals.
What?
Brazil and Belgium.
They had
Belgium lost in the
disgusting
semis.
team.
Those,
2018 World Cup, meaning that they played the Euros in 2016, meaning that Antoine Griezmann was a top 3 Ballon d'Or player.
but that doesn't matter. Brazil
What?
had Neymar in that time, and Neymar was on fire. The only reason why they lost
had
by
Larissa
1 goal by
goalie,
France.
Varane Umtiti, who were gods. Basically, the 2 best center backs on each of the 2 best teams in the world.
But who do they have at right back?
Bro, Pavard, who ended up.
Who do they have at left back?
Okay, bro, what? I
Remember.
don't even remember.
Exactly.
Okay, who do they have a center mid? Pogba and Conte.
But Pogba was
Griezmann,
like
Ben Yedder,
Yeah.
Giroud, Mbappe.
Mbappe, but Mbappe was not Mbappe
What?
until
Yes,
that
he
tournament.
was.
No, he wasn't.
Bro, what?
All he did was take his team to like he was good enough to be like they took it to the finals in the Champions
Mbappe
League.
was 160 million. Mbappe to PSG.
Okay,
Mbappe.
but if we're gonna talk about money to find a player, Maguire will be one of the best center backs. In the
No,
world.
but for
Come on.
Mbappe, it makes sense.
And Mbappe was young, so he was unproven. This was his tournament to shine, and he did that. Everyone at
But
that
Mbappe
moment,
wasn't a okay.
at
You see
that
how we said
moment of the World
earlier,
Cup, the best player
okay.
was Griezmann for France.
Earlier, like okay, in the Group A episode, we said like, oh, Cody Gakpo could be like a really good player for France.
Yeah.
That's not the way we saw Mbappe heading into 2018 World
That
Cup.
was Cody Gakpo was literally
No,
Mbappe,
bro.
except like
no,
Mbappe was.
no one was like Mbappe
better.
could be really good for France. No, bro. Mbappe was murdering people already. Mbappe was murdering people at Monaco. That's
Oh no, he was murdering people
Yes.
in Ligue 1. Oh, what a difficult league.
he was doing it in the Champions League,
Damn,
bro.
that's crazy. Ligue 1. Oh my god, the league we love.
He was doing it in the Champions League. I'd never give
so
people
much
credit for Ligue 1.
competition from PSG to PSG.
He was doing it in the
Bro.
Champions League. Are you out of your mind? He was doing it in the Champions League, bro. There's a reason why Real Madrid wanted him. It wasn't because he was killing people in the Ligue 1. It was because he was murdering people in the Champions
He's
League.
gross, but the thing is that he wasn't like
Yes, he
he
was
wasn't
Mbappe
that
already.
Mbappe until after the World Cup. After
He's
the World
gotten
Cup,
better, which is crazy, but he was Mbappe,
He
bro.
was,
Yes, he
he
was.
was
Everyone-
very much that guy.
everyone in
was
that tournament was
very
like, "Oh, this is the guy to look out to." He's like, I don't know. He's like what? Like I think in that World Cup he was
No,
18?
expectations
He was
were
Mbappe,
high.
bro.
Expectations were
He was
high
the
for
best
him.
attacker on France heading into World Cup. Yes, he was.
At that time, it was Griezmann. Griezmann
No.
was the best.
No.
You literally just told me that
No.
heading into World Cup, Griezmann was literally Ballon d'Or
2 years prior. I said
He
2016.
said 2016.
That's the World Cup. That's a year that Griezmann was supposed to go to Barcelona, and he didn't. And he went like next year. He did the whole like reveal thing that like LeBron did, and he was like, "Okay, I'm staying," and then he left the next year.
That's fine.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
That was a
Let's
heated
end it there.
exchange.
But yeah, this is the end of the episode. Pretty packed in there. Little England versus USA action everyone's been waiting for. And yeah, alongside Michael Figueroa and Chris Will, my name is Rafael Dos Santos, and this has been the Group B. Catch us next time for Group C, and then Group D, and then down the alphabet until Group H. Bye.